Go.
Oh,
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Lori Wood, and I'm currently a clinical supervisor in the intensive care nursery at Dartmouth. I've worked here since I was a new graduate nurse from Mary Hitchcock's last diploma program in 1980. I'm pleased to be here to present to you my capstone project, which is titled Development of a Standardized Teaching Plan for New Neonatal Nurses to Learn Peripheral Intravenous Catheter Insertion, First Things First. Next slide. So let me tell you a little bit about our setting. The intensive care nursery at Children's Hospital at Dartmouth is a 30-bed ICN. Our neonatal population includes level 3 and level 2, meaning level 3 babies are the sickest babies that can be cared for, and level 2 are our convalescent population. We take care of babies who are not only premature, but babies who have surgical needs. They may have neurological problems, they may have genetic disorders, they may have infections. In our unit, we have 65 registered nurses, and we internally run our own new graduate nurse residency program every August, in addition to year-round hiring of experienced nurses from outside the organization or within Dartmouth Hitchcock. Next slide. I have to give you a little bit of background to what set up the purpose of this project. In the early spring of 2015, in our ICN, we experienced 11 infections in a 3-month period. We were devastated. Of those 11 infections, 7 of them were central line associated bloodstream infections, commonly known as CLABSIs. As a result, the senior leadership team at Dartmouth called together our local leadership team and said that we were in a stand down. We put together a multidisciplinary team, and at the time, I was actually taking the Context for High Quality Care Delivery Systems here at Colby Sawyer, and I was doing a lit review, and I found an article written by Chandonnet et al. From Boston Children's, who had also experienced an upsurge in their infections, and when they tried to investigate as to what the cause was, they utilized what's called a healthcare failure mode and effects analysis, or also known as a FEMA. We used that as our guide as we proceeded forward. The first thing we did was perform 116 practice evaluations to identify gaps in both nursing and provider care. And oh yeah, we found a wide variety in our practice, in our sterile procedure, in our central line insertion and maintenance, in our skin antisepsis, in the way in which we access central lines, and the way in which we inserted peripheral intravenous lines. But at the time, when you perform a FEMA, you take the practices that score in the top 20%, and it's beyond the scope of this project to explain that. But anyway, the top 20% were the first 4 variations, or the first 4 practices that are listed up there. So we standardized all of those practices, we re-educated our staff, and moved forward. So fast forward, last fall of 2016, our infection committee continues to meet, but the nurses on the committee expressed that they were still seeing wide variations in practice for PIV insertion. Those nurses on the committee that are very experienced in PIV insertion were expressing frustration that they would be called to a baby's bedside after an inexperienced nurse would have made many attempts at starting a PIV, and this was quite concerning to them. So we wanted a way to document whether there was a wide variation in practice or what the variation in practice was. So we sent out a survey to the staff, and it absolutely did document wide variation in the way in which nurses were prepping the skin, the way in which nurses were providing pain management to their babies, the way in which nurses were securing the devices, and the way in which they were selecting their dressings. Next slide. Thank you. So why is this a problem? Well, we know that PIV insertion is the most common procedure in our ICN. We know that neonates are at high risk for infection due to their immature immune systems. We know that neonates have unique issues due to their vessel size and their skin fragility. We know that currently nurses in our unit are learning PIV insertion by the see one, do one approach. So they may be working with their preceptor, and they may be working with another nurse who has barely much more experience than them in learning how to insert PIVs. So this has led to failed attempts, it has led to undue pain for the baby, it's led to increased infection, and it's led to parental distress. So we know that we need to reduce variability in our practice. We know that variability in practice leads to missteps, and it leads to a lack in patient satisfaction, and in our case, in parent satisfaction. So this was an opportunity for us to develop a standard procedure in PIV insertion and also standardize the process of how our new nurses learn PIV insertion. Next slide. So the first thing that I did was I went to the professional organizations for recommendations. And the professional organization that I used was Infusion Nurses Society. They're the premier organization for vascular access clinicians, and their guidelines are spread across all patient care areas. So wherever vascular access, insertion, maintenance is provided, no matter what patient care environment, their guidelines should hold for. They recommend that all registered nurses who are working in an area where there's infusion therapy, they should complete an organized educational program, and they mostly recognize that part of this is due to the fact that there's a lack of or inconsistency of education in undergraduate programs. They also highlight the fact that specialized patient populations, of which neonates are one, should receive, or the clinicians should receive specialized training for that population. In 2016, they published a book called Policies and Procedures, Neonates and Adolescent. And in there, they stated that clinician competence should be not only assessed initially, but it should be assessed on an ongoing basis. Next slide. So then I began my data collection, and I was looking to see what is out there in the literature for studies or articles on insertion or education of insertion for the neonates, and there wasn't anything for neonates. But I did find some articles that I felt could be transferred to my work. I found one integrative review that was actually concerning training of undergraduate clinicians, and I felt like their work could be transferred to mine. I found a randomized control trial, very, very small, but the study was showing that using simulation in education of nurses for inserting PIVs was very effective. And then my third article that I found very helpful, it's on the next slide, was actually a description of a educational program that one small hospital had put in place, the goal of which was to increase nurses' knowledge, competence, and skill. And they also had used multiple methods, including didactic and simulation, prior to the nurses going into the unit to start IV with good success. I met with the Dartmouth-Hitchcock Vascular Access Nurse Manager. And at Dartmouth-Hitchcock, the vascular access team starts IVs on the adult population and the pediatric population, but not on the neonatal population. So we discussed what was best practice, what they utilize for educational programs in training vascular access clinicians. And when I put it all together, between the studies and between the recommendations of the INS and between what I had learned from the nurse manager, what everything had in common was that a combination of didactic or self-study modules, just multi-methods in training nurses in PIV was the most effective. Next slide. So I got a little ahead of myself. So multiple methods would include classroom lecture, reading materials, simulation, and or self-study. So a combination of these. The best practice also is to repeat this education every few years, because nurses may not have regular opportunities to start IVs. They might go long periods of time. So it would be important to repeat this. And performance needs to be validated by actually observing the nurse's practice. So to do this, you need to have a comprehensive tool that states the specific performance criteria that you want the nurse to do, and you need to have a standardized procedure so that you'll know the order in which the steps should be taken. And then you also need to establish criteria for who will be the people who will assess this performance. So we at Dartmouth-Hitchcock, we call them skills ambassadors. So you have to have a training process for those individuals also. So what I did next, taking all of this that I had learned, next slide please. Here at Dartmouth-Hitchcock, we have a template called a Nursing Skill Verification Record. This can be used for initial training, and it can be used for ongoing competency assessment. So as you can see, this is page 1 of the skill verification record, but I was able to integrate the multi-methods that were suggested by my investigation. So you can see that what we will require is that the new nurses will participate in a self-learning module or go to a PIV insertion class. They will attend a PIV insertion skill session, and then they will need to then bring this learning back into the unit and demonstrate their PIV insertion in the presence of a skills ambassador. And then the second page, this is actually page 1 of a 4-page process. So this is the standard process that we were able to put together based on the INS guidelines, but I also utilized the Elsevier Clinical Skills, which is the reference we use here at Dartmouth-Hitchcock for clinical nurses. So integrating the two, the Elsevier Clinical Skills pretty much mirrored what the INS recommended. So this is the step-by-step process that nurses will have to demonstrate when they're in their simulation session. So the simulation session will include some education and then the ability for them to demonstrate this on a mannequin. And then when they go back into the unit in the presence of a skills ambassador, the keys to their success will be that they were able to do each one of these steps in order. Next slide. So what do I have to do next? So we still need to develop the interactive online learning module, which we'll be doing in collaboration with our clinical specialists and the IT department. We need to develop the simulation content for the hands-on skills day we will do. We need to train and choose or have volunteers for skills ambassadors. These will be the people who will assess the competency once the nurses go into the unit. And then down the road, we anticipate by the end of summer that this will now be a required demonstrated competency for all of our staff. So even the nurses who have been starting IVs for many years will need to review the standard procedure and demonstrate this in the presence of one of our skills ambassadors. Expect a little bit of a pushback here because some of our nurses who have been here for many years, who have been inserting IVs in a certain way, maybe a little resistant to changing the way that they've always done it, teaching the old dog new trick, so to speak. But it's very important for us to be in compliance with the standard guidelines. We're also seeing this as an opportunity we have a concurrent project going on where we're trying to involve families to provide comfort to our patient population when they undergo any procedure, because we are seeing that when you have two people, whether it's a parent or whether it's another staff member, providing comfort to babies, that they have improved developmental outcomes. And my next slide. So how will I know that I'm successful? Well, once we've gone through the competency process with all our staff, we can do periodic practice evaluations to assure that staff are continuing to use the procedure as written and not slipping back into their old ways. We don't really have a way, except in the comment section of our electronic medical record, to document the number of attempts, but we will be able to re-educate staff that there is a limit to their number of attempts, so hopefully people will be more compliant to this limit. And I will be looking to try to put together some kind of an evaluation of our formalized training for new nurses. Will this make a difference in their confidence and later on in their skill in inserting PIVs? Thank you to my mentor, Tricia Fanjoy, to Tanya Lambert, my nurse manager, to the members of the ICN nosocomial infection stoppers, the NCIS team, and to Mary Scott, my capstone faculty advisor. Any questions?